hi, hello, and welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Each Other's Soulmate. We are back. It has been 3 weeks instead of 2. Oops, whatever. But we are back, and we are more than ready to hit this next episode because, my goodness, where are we? We are season 2, episode, is it 16?
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 16, titled Was It Good For You? And we are 2 episodes now away from the season finale. So, oh my goodness, we're finally getting there and we are pumped. This is such a fun episode. So, we're just going to get right into it. But once again, we are each other's soulmates. We are a Sex in the City broadcast. We are 2 broads talking about our 4 favorite broads in New York City. So, with that, let's get into it.
Yes, ma'am. So this introduction today, we have an episode that is going over what makes somebody good or bad in bed. What does that mean? What does that look like? What does that sound like? And then today we have the 4 broads in some interesting situations. So we have Samantha, who tries having a threesome with a married couple named David and David. They're both named David. It's 2 men. We have Carrie, who convinces an alcoholic to date her before his sponsor wants him to date anyone. We have Charlotte, who has a man fall asleep while inside of her. And then we have Miranda, who she gets nutted on by another woman's husband.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
This is a very explicit episode. I feel like we haven't had one as explicit really thus far. No, we've talked about stuff, but I feel like this is like the majority of the episode is just like so sex centered. This episode.
We even see really a nipple in this episode.
Whose nipple?
Charlotte's nipple. It's in like the
we
first
see
scene.
Charlotte's nipple. Is it really?
Yeah, she's wearing this really cute see-through bra. It's like a very pale lace blue, or very pale.
Very
blue
cute.
Lace. Yeah,
I want to get in on that baby blue. I've yet to wear like baby blue lingerie, and I feel like that would be. I feel like that would be banging.
Yeah. But yeah, so let's get into it. We have our first scene of the episode where we have Charlotte, and we meet the guy that she's seeing currently. His name is Bram.
Best name ever. Yeah, that's on my baby list.
I was about to say, I love that name so much, Bram. Like,
it's on my non-existent baby names baby list.
Nobody steal her baby name.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Whatever. It might happen, it might not. You bitch.
And so we meet Bram and Charlotte while they're making love, and he falls asleep while he's inside of her.
Okay, for context, he's a doctor, right? He was a doctor, and he was coming off of like his shifts, so he was extremely tired, and it happens. However, if you have an ego of any sort, I feel like she rightfully justified to be a little upset.
Oh yeah. So we like immediately skip over to the next scene. Like as soon as she realizes that he's asleep while inside of her, we pan straight to the next scene, and you see her sobbing hysterically to Carrie, and she's like, he fell asleep while he was making love with me. And she's so distraught, and Carrie's like running through her cabinets trying to make her tea, like doing something to try to make her feel better. And you know, Charlotte's like saying something's wrong with me. Carrie's like, there's nothing wrong with you. But Charlotte's like, has anybody ever fallen asleep on you? And Carrie's like, no, but I'm sure they wanted to. You know, just like when your girlfriend has something bad happen and you just like, I need to pull something out of my ass to make her feel better.
Yeah, it's like when you're responding not with experience, you're just having to respond. You're like, how can I make this person feel as good as possible right now?
Tries. Like one of those moments she actually tries.
Yeah, and it's hard though, because I come to think of it, I'm like, I can't remember a time if someone fell asleep on me or not.
Exactly. So that's I
don't even know. Obviously, it didn't matter that much if it did happen.
You know, and
I fell asleep during sex.
Yeah,
not in a bad context. Not like this is so boring or this is so unpleasurable. I was 50 shades of drunk. Like I was just like I was just laying there enjoying the moment, and then I just fell asleep. It was my infamous 23rd birthday.
Oh my gosh. Wait, was that the one that we did at Brass Monkey?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, nobody likes
It
me when
was
you're
that birthday.
23. That's right. We did emo night.
Yep.
That was such
We
a
did
good
emo night. That was a good night. Obviously, I had a great end of my night.
Yeah, it was a fun night. Oh my god. But yes, next scene. And these first few scenes like split to the next one really quickly.
Yeah.
Actually, that's like kind of a theme in this episode. It's very quick, fast paced.
Yeah.
And then so we have Samantha and Carrie. They're walking around the Central Park together. I think it's like the next day, and Samantha's just like, I'm not surprised. Have you ever seen her on a Stairmaster? Nothing happening below the waist.
I love that line.
I know.
I love
I'm
that
just
line.
like Samantha. And Carrie's like, I can't believe you feel that way. And she asks Samantha whether or not Charlotte is good or bad in bed. Is it really that important? You know? And Samantha says, who you are in bed is who you are in life. I've never met a man who was bad in bed who was good at life. That was I got a text message, my bad.
Duty calls. That's really funny because
no, for real.
Let's be so fucking for real right now. That's so true.
You know,
it's
and
like,
I think it's not just like black and white. I think there's some like psychology behind this, like, you know, like, and
it's compensation.
It's a confidence thing,
you can't
right?
file your taxes, you can lay pipe.
Well, if that's true, I must be amazing. And and then Carrie's just like, well, for the record, in bed, you are. You know, she's asking Samantha, and she's like, don't make me state the obvious. And Carrie asks her how she can be so sure. So it's like, what is used to determine whether you're good or bad in bed, you know?
I feel like you just know. But however,
yeah, but that's the thing that like how do you define that? Like so people can know, you know?
We have theorized that Samantha's a Leo, and being a Leo myself, that's the one thing I got. If I can't be good in bed, I have nothing else to offer this world. You know?
That's it.
So, yeah. That's it. That's it. Truthfully, I'm in the wrong profession. Should have went a different way. However, I don't know. I just feel, okay, have you had bad sex?
Yeah.
And you've had good sex, right?
Yeah.
And it always depends not on you, but on the person.
But that's on the receiving end.
So you're saying it's
because you know
subjective.
Because we had that one episode where Miranda dated the ophthalmologist, and he thought he was great in bed, and then she let him know that she had been faking her orgasms, and then he like sits there and starts making a mental list of all the women he's ever dated, and starts to wonder how many of them faked it, you know? So it's like
I have only been ghosted once after having sex with someone.
Yeah.
That's how I know. I'm like, if they come back for more.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm over here talking as if I've had like 1,000 experiences.
You know, it's hard to tell, but that's how we're going to spend this episode trying to figure this out.
We're trying to figure this out. Do the girl.
Samantha, when she's like, I know I'm sure because no one's ever taken a nap while fucking me. And then she also says that, plus I get affirmations all the time. And she said that her friends, David and David, reached out to her recently. And so we pan over to a dinner that she had with David and David, the gay couple that we mentioned earlier. And they explained to Samantha over dinner that they want to experiment with a woman, that these are two gay men probably in their early mid 30s who are married, who have only ever, both of them, been with men.
Men,
now as a married couple, probably I'm assuming for like the past few years. Ooh, it just occurred to me. This is in the year 2000. They weren't legally married. Oh, that's terrible to
Yeah.
think about. I know.
Isn't that crazy?
I
Well, New
know. I
York,
hate
when
it.
was New York? Well, because it was state laws.
Oh, I'm thinking of
New
when it
York,
was. Okay.
right. New York was
You're
one of the
right.
first states to have legal marriage between, like homosexual couples. But then federally, it was
That's what I was thinking.
2015.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
was
what I was
right after you and
referring.
to think it was right after you and I graduated high school is
No, I
bizarre.
remember. I threw a
Me
party.
too.
You remember that?
I was very excited. I
Yeah.
remember waking up. I can like remember the morning. I remember waking up to my phone and I was like, hell yeah. Like why was this a problem? Like it's I know.
Oh my god,
It's
emotional.
awful.
It is
Well, I
awful.
mean,
I
let's
just
let's be real. Let's be
no for
real.
real.
Let's be real. It's fucking terrible that this was even a thing. Just like having to fight for human rights is fucking exhausting in this country. And I think some of us know that more than others. I could care less what the fuck you do. You're not killing anyone. You're not hurting anyone. You're not fucking hurting kids. Who gives a fuck? Literally, what if someone is gay and married 20,000 bajillion miles away from you? Why do you give a fuck?
No for
Live your
real.
happy life. Jesus Christ. Literally, the guy you guys worship all the fucking time. Jesus fucking Christ. Holy God. Who gives a shit? I will never understand how people like truthfully so just viciously care about what other people do that doesn't equate with their lifestyle. I could care less. You have 16,000 kids? Cool. You married a secret gay guy? Cool. Your husband's DL? Cool. Like, I don't, like, just do whatever the fuck you want.
No, seriously.
Why can't everyone else just do whatever the fuck they want? So stupid. I'm so over it. I'm so over it. I'm so over fighting for human rights. Not that I'll ever not talk about it, but like, ugh.
God.
It's exhausting.
It truly is.
It's exhausting and it's embarrassing as a country. It's embarrassing. Just let people do it's like just like who cares? Literally, who fucking cares? As someone who wants to marry like a man, like I could care less. Go. Please be my guest. I will marry you guys in secret. I'm so over like,
Yeah. No, I feel it.
This shit's turning me into a goddamn gorilla. That's how I get mad. I start grunting. Put me in the goddamn zoo. Fuck.
Harambe. Oh my god.
That's when this world went to shit.
Yeah.
This world went to shit after that. I hope that little kid's suffering. I'm just kidding.
Got me off guard with that one. Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna have bad karma for that statement. I hope he's alive and well, but lives with the consequences of his actions.
I wonder how he feels about the movie Tarzan. Anyways, so David and David, gay couple, they love each other. They want to experiment in the bedroom, and they ask Samantha. And they tell Samantha that out of all the women that they know in their lives, that the reason that they chose her was that they knew that she would be the best in bed.
Of course. And she's just so sexually free and open.
It's like, how more clear of an affirmation can you get?
Right. And they probably were like worried about maybe being judged too for that choice. And Samantha was just like, of course, feeding her. One, it feeds her ego. And two, she's probably like, fuck it.
Yeah. No. And so Samantha goes to tell Carrie, and, Carrie can't believe that Samantha's even considering it and is unable to get over the fact that, like, these are two gay men. And Samantha hits Carrie with the biggest and most underrated truth bomb of the entire series.
Oh, this is the best line.
Other than who, if you don't know, you'll know later, Natasha. So she tells Carrie, for a sex columnist, you have a very limited view of sexuality.
Cleared. Cleared.
Right there. That the show could have ended right there.
The show should have ended. Right? We would have had a very short podcast.
That should have been the last no ever spoken on the show. But Carrie
and the theme
laughs
song
it
plays.
off. Yeah, no, seriously. But Carrie laughs it off and she repeats like they're gay. They're gay as pink suede. And
but who cares? Like that's
and they're literally saying they want to explore their sexuality, but whatever. So Samantha hits her back again and she's like, wake up. It's 2000. So this is happening in the year 2000. And
we
she
have
says,
survived Y2K at this point.
yes.
Y2K did not happen.
Not in this timeline. The new millennium, this is what Samantha says. The new millennium won't be about sexual labels. It'll be about sexual expression. It won't matter if you're sleeping with men or women. It will be about sleeping with individuals.
And
Amen.
she specifically says, like, soon everyone will be pansexual.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't matter. But let's pause. Isn't that fascinating how here we are 25 years later, and truthfully, your sexuality now is a lot more open than it was obviously in 2000.
Yeah,
so
people are aware that it's actually a spectrum now.
Correct.
And it's not just gay, straight, and that's it. There are it's like the colors in the rainbow. Yeah, you have the Roy G. Biv, but like you also have like every single thing in between, you know?
Yeah. And I'm not saying here that everyone is or should be pansexual. You obviously, the whole point is you need to be who you are and have the preferences of what you choose. But we have now an openness where it's like, if you want to just be with whoever, they're here, at least it's a lot more open than it was 25 years ago. So, but sorry. Like, well, yeah, it's hard. But as we always say about Samantha, this was a character so ahead of its time. Like, I don't know who wrote her lines or who really embodied her character. I'm really glad they did, because now it's like she's such an icon also in discussions about the show and sexuality within itself. It's like, oh yeah, well, Samantha Jones has been talking about this for the past 25 years, you know?
No,
so
and
it's really cool that that's mentioned, you know?
It is. And I always wonder too, like, just how self-aware the show was with it, because very often in the show when she presents her forward thinkings, like in moments like this, it's very often shut down by the characters.
I was about to say, it gets shut down.
Yeah.
And it's a weird juxtaposition of like, we can't tell where the show kind of like heeds forward, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that's the point. I think that they threw Samantha in for a reason, because there had to be some kind of pivot. There had to be the show of, hey, we're really talking about sex here. Obviously, sex has been shamed for a long time. Everyone has had views of different sexuality since the dawn of time. It's just that it was having to be suppressed. So someone had to be like, we're going to throw her in because this is how sex should be viewed, you know, in society. And let's balance that, right? At least right now in 2000, or, you know, the late 90s. So I love this episode. As someone who I guess identifies as pan, I don't like labels. And you know that. I could just remember being a very young age. I think I was like 12. I was 12 when I came to terms with, I was like, oh, I don't just like guys. I was like, oh, I think I like other people. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, I like everyone that I just like. Yeah. Like, and that was just like
I totally feel that. I think I was somewhere like 23, 24 maybe when it really hit me. Like, cuz I wasn't one of those people who grew up knowing. I had to figure it out.
Same.
And it really hit me one day when I realized that the way that I love, and it's how she says it here, it doesn't matter if it's men or women, it's about sleeping with the individual. It's kind of like, I don't give a shit what you got. Let's just have fun.
We've said that. You know, we've said that so many times on this podcast, is like, I don't care what we're working with here, but we're gonna work with it. Yeah, you know, exactly. You know, it's like, because sex isn't just we know now, like it's not
Yeah.
just for procreation, it's obviously recreational.
Yeah.
Duh, that's all we ever
Oh
do is
yeah.
talk about it.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah.
why not do it with whoever you're in, you know.
Exactly. And the way that they end this scene is really funny. So Carrie, she asks her, or she makes a joke about what she's saying, and so Samantha hits her back with the soon everyone will be pansexual. It won't matter if you're gay or straight. And Carrie's like, it only matters if you're good in bed. And Samantha's like, exactly. So it doesn't matter who you're sleeping with as long as you're doing it well. Straight from
100%. You bring your
exactly.
best, bring your A game, or don't come at all, literally.
Yeah, just have fun, you know?
Yeah, let's just have a
Um,
good time.
so that night at Carrie's apartment, while she's smoking a cig in her apartment, and she's wondering, are we secretly being graded every time we invite somebody into bed with us?
Yes.
Like
How
A,
do you not
B,
think like that? Okay,
D,
well, not
F,
like that.
and she throws out grades like letter grades like that. And she wonders, like,
Incomplete.
incomplete. That's that guy that kept coming too soon.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And she wonders, is lovemaking really nothing more than a pop quiz? Is it really like just about what you know how to do? You know?
Girl, no.
Um no, and I don't agree with that personally. I feel like everybody's styles is like just like written in different fonts, it's your
I feel
own
like you
different
do
thing.
your tried and true, what you're used to, but that's the whole point is like exploring with someone. And if you're comfortable to
Yeah.
explore with someone,
Well,
then you
yeah.
learn what you do and don't like and what others do and
Yeah.
don't like. And then once you're comfortable with what your hard limits are or whatever, like then you bring it to if you bring it to the next person, then you're like, hey, I like this. Do you like
Yeah.
this? Yes or
Yeah.
no? And and then you have
And
that discussion, or you both are like, hey, I've never done this before.
mhm. Exactly. And just always, it's okay to explore, but just always make sure you're comfortable, that you're doing things that you want to do. Don't just do them because
Always.
your
We're
partner
always
wants
doing things obviously in a consensual nature. Don't ever
to. Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
never feel like you have to be forced to do anything unless you're drunk. I'm just kidding.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Because that
okay.
shit, a lot of times it goes, like when you're like, okay, I'm like a bottle of wine in, you're like, we're doing whatever you want tonight. But then you're like, oh, well, I was a little drunk, but I learned something along the
Bella's drunk adventures. That's
I
a
feel
comic
like
book.
that's how red wine is a segue to anal. Always.
Not in my experience, but okay.
It is. I promise.
Okay, I'll
I
have to
promise.
remember that
You
the next
drink,
time I
you
drink
have to
them.
drink more.
Oh, that's true. I've never
Keep,
finished the bottle.
keep going, literally.
Okay.
You'll get there.
Alright, I'll report back.
Gotta
So the
try it at
last
least once in
question
your
in this
life.
the last question in this scene is if sex is a test, how do we know if we're passing or failing? You
That's
know?
hard too because like I've
Yeah, because
heard from
what if
people like, oh, I fuck that person and keep them to come back just because need to have sex. Not that it's good or bad,
yeah.
just like
And
just
and then it's like, why do they need to have sex? Is it the intimacy of it? Is it the
no, it's
chemical release of it?
no,
Is
it's the
it
end game. It's like
the end
coming in a
game?
person,
No,
because
tell
like
me.
well, like masturbating only does so much, but yeah, like obviously having sex with a person is preferred. Well, not. I feel like some people
Not
might
in every
prefer
case.
masturbating. That is
Yeah.
true. I feel like for a good while, when you don't have a person in your life who makes it feel like I don't know,
No,
I
like
don't know because
respectfully, I
I've been
disagree because like as somebody who's married, I also feel like I love having sex with my husband. I do, don't get me wrong. But I also feel that it's important to maintain my own sense of sexuality with
yes,
myself and having that time
100%.
like alone to just be.
But what I'm
It
saying is, would you rather now that you have the option, would you rather be with yourself or would you rather be with your husband?
it's a toss up. Like I love
Really?
him and I love doing that with him, but sometimes I just need it to be me.
Okay.
and
No, I
and then
get
other
that.
times I need it to be him. But like
Okay.
I totally like I just as somebody who's in that like long-term relationship sense, it is not always just because he's there means that I prefer to do it with a partner. Sometimes I do prefer to just have a moment to myself.
Yeah, because I've definitely had better orgasms alone.
You know, it's not even about the quality of the orgasm. It's the
intimacy for you. Okay.
Intimacy of like, it's kind of like the same kind of relief that somebody might get from doing yoga. You know, like that kind of like self connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like
That's
a runner's high. It's like, it's like, I get it. No, I get it. I'm the same way. Obviously, like that's something I still very much enjoy doing by myself. But maybe it's because this relationship is new. I'd much rather be with my partner.
Oh yeah.
I
remember when my husband and I first got together, we were literally like bunnies for like a minute.
You're like I don't even like if my hand fell off right now, I would not be upset.
Oh my god. Okay. So next scene, we have Carrie. She's walking home, and oh my gosh, she looks so cute. She has this like baby blue dress. It's such a vibe. But anyways, she's walking home, and all of a sudden, she like screams and grabs her arm. She's like, "Oh my god! Like I think a bee stung me or something." But what had actually happened was a man flicked his cigarette, and it hit her. The cherry.
That's exactly what a bee sting feels like. Because I've been hit with a butt. Like a cigarette butt too. Like I felt one like burn into me. It feels the exact same. Great comparison.
Awful. And he comes over and he apologizes immediately. And she's kind of pissed at first, but when she like kind of calms down a bit, she's like, "Oh shit, he's kind of cute." You know? And he apologizes again and introduces himself. This man is named Patrick Casey. Love the name. And he begins flirting with her, and he offers to buy her a cup of coffee to make up for the burn on her arm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they go to the coffee shop together, and while they're there, they're just smoking cigarettes together, drinking coffee together, and they start talking about their lives, and we find out that he is a music composer for movies. But it's like really bad movies, like B-list movies. And I was like,
this is like my dream. No, he's like, oh. This character would have had me through like a toxic 3-year relationship because it hits off all of Bella's checklists. Alcoholic, musician in a sense,
smoker,
let me make it up to you, dreamy. You know, like shit like that. I was like, 18-year-old Bella would be whisked off my feet. Now almost 30-year-old Bella, I'd be like, no, sir, I don't have any change.
Like, sir, do you have a checkings account? You know, but no, they're having fun together, but then Carrie realizes that she has to leave. She's late for her next thing. And he indicates like he doesn't want her to leave, but he also does not ask for her information as she's leaving. So she thinks about, as she's walking away, she's like, this was a really great interaction. Like she knows that. So she turns around and she goes back to him and she gives him her number. So she initiated rather than waiting for him to initiate, and then she leaves. And then next scene,
which is rare for Carrie.
Very rare.
Carrie usually isn't the.
Yeah.
As someone who also does that, I get that. Like if I'm initiating, like I really like you, it's very rare for me.
Sorry. No, seriously. When I was in the dating game, I was the opposite personally. I liked to be the one who was doing the asking out. I liked having that sense of control in the situation, but everybody's different, you know?
Yeah. I used to tell you, remember how many times I'd be like, oh, if the guy doesn't come up to me first, I'm not even like, it's not even happening.
Oh, yeah. And then I'm here, like, if the guy comes up to me first, I'm not interested anymore.
But, like, the one time, like, the most, like, recent in the past, like, year, where I initiated first, well, essentially, and then I got rejected, I was like, no. And this is why I wait for them to come to me. Because absolutely not. That was so stupid. And to this day, like, my ego still takes a fucking hit.
No more. Don't do it.
Well, it doesn't matter now, but
No, for real. We have Carrie and Miranda in the next scene, and Carrie's telling Miranda all about what happened with Patrick Casey. And Miranda is they're putting together her new bedding set. So she got
it's
this
the peach. It's the
Florentine
peach.
peach. She got
Florentine peach.
sheets and bedding. And the idea is that she's trying to bring better energy into her bedroom. So by like, getting all the new bedding and like kind of putting some time into that, she's hoping that it'll kind of like increase
It
her
does.
bed karma.
I think it does, because like my last apartment was like my favorite, and I had everything to my specifications, and I feel like when you have like your living center and like bedroom situated, like, it just makes everything else better. It's like the whole theory of like, oh, clear, like a, when you have like a messy space, that your brain is also messy kind of. I feel like it's the same kind of thing. I feel like once your bedroom is like set for like relaxation and like, like calm or whatever, I feel like it does play a part. And it could just make you feel confident for like having the things that you want the way you want. And I feel like that's another part of it too. I guess it's like I guess it's like feng shui or feng shui, however it's pronounced. I haven't really like divulged into that, but I feel like that's really probably, I definitely don't face mirrors. What did they say? You try not to face mirrors like to your bed or something. I've definitely taken or towards each other stuff. Like I've like always remembered that one, and I'm like, all right, I'm fucking with that. So
I know.
yeah.
There was a period of time recently where I started having really vivid dreams and started having like even some nightmares. Like I literally told Bella earlier today, I had a nightmare that I was in the movie Cocaine Bear. If you haven't seen Cocaine Bear, you should watch it.
I still haven't seen it.
You should watch it. It's a really
still haven't seen it.
It's based off a true story.
Which I didn't know until today. I was like, you're telling me this is a true story? I just thought it was a fucking shitty horror movie.
It's both. But a good shitty horror movie that Patrick Casey probably wrote the music for. But anyways, back to the story. So Carrie tells Miranda what happened with Patrick Casey, and she's just like, why won't he call me? And it kind of like makes me ask the question, like, how long do you think that is appropriate to wait to message somebody after you receive their contact info?
Immediately.
So I'm gonna say, like, in this case it's like calling, but in nowadays it would be like
texting,
Instagram, Facebook,
yeah,
phone number, TikTok, email. Like there's so many different portals that you could choose. You think immediately is the correct response?
I would say back in the day, like at least the next day or two. I feel like if this was the 2000s, like getting a call the next day would be great. Getting a call the next day, even like I would say like 3 days. Because like, what if the weekend comes and they're like, hey, it's Friday. You got any weekend plans? Things like that. Yeah. However, now it's like back when I was
like it moves faster now.
Yeah, back when I was single, I would always give my Instagram first because I feel like your phone number's funny, right? Like your phone numbers are now so personal that where it's like, I'm not going to give you my number. Like you can have my Instagram, but you can't have my number.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot more intimate. And so I'm like, but if you're not responding to me like by the next morning that you met me, no.
No, I hear that.
And that's how I knew the person I'm with now. He was immediately, he was like, let me know when you get home, blah, blah, blah. Oh, message me whenever. And I was like, period. Yeah. That's how it should be.
Actually, same thing with my husband now. Like that was what really set it into stone for me, was that he had the initiative of wanting to be in my space. And that was really what
that's what sets the bar. When you are with a person or a man or whoever that like is intentionally like, I want to see you. Like,
Yeah.
I met you. I want to see you again. And that's what it's
Yeah.
been like the whole time. And this is new and rare
Consistent.
for me.
Yeah.
It was like him and I met, and I feel like we've like, I feel like when we actually, ever since him and I met, there hasn't gone a day where him and I have not talked.
Yeah.
Before we even officially got together, we consistently talked and hung out like up until we officially got together. And I feel, and it was he drove it, because I was very like, I want this to happen, but I'm not going to rush things because I'm notorious for rushing things, and I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to be a healthy bitch, and not crazy, because I can be. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to let him do all the planning and like, well, back at earlier stages, and I'm like, let me see if he's actually interested. And like, it worked. I was like, oh, he's actually interested. So it's actually
So
fascinating
it
how that
really
works.
is. So there's no real timeline as far as we can tell, just as long as they show
Yeah.
initiative and that
Yeah.
they show desire. If you have somebody who's making you wait like days in response to what you're saying, move on.
Yeah. It's one thing, like, if something truthfully came up, right?
Yeah.
Like, but it's in just genuine thing. It's like a person knows when they want to hang out with you or be with you or
Yeah.
get to know you further.
You
Everyone has
know.
that feeling of knowing,
If
of like, oh, I'm interested,
yeah, if you feel the need to convince them, please
Yeah.
move on. So we go back to this. Oh yeah, so Miranda says give him 12 more hours. So we're 3 days later. Miranda says give him 12 more
Okay.
hours, and if he still
Yeah.
hasn't responded, write him off. And
Fair.
Carrie just like mentions like I'm not usually wrong when I give out my phone number. I usually do the size up and it always works out. I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand what happened this time. I must be ugly. And I'm not gonna lie,
Feel that.
this shit reminded me so much of talking to you. Like, because
Feel that.
Miranda's like, so because one man didn't call you back, now you're ugly. And Carrie's like, what's your
Yes.
point? Yeah, literally, Mita. So, uh,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Miranda, see, this is one of those moments where I'm like, I really am a Miranda. Miranda comes in and she's like, that's crazy to like
No.
let one person's actions be able to convince you of something so crazy like that. And then we end this scene in like the funniest way. Miranda picks up the pillow and she's like, oh my God, it has a little flaw right here. And she's like, why does everything I bring into this bedroom have to have a flaw?
Because nothing can be perfect. You have to have a balance. That's the whole point of like feng shui also, right? Is like you have
One
a
of the points, yeah.
balance. Right.
Energy balance. But
Right.
I don't know. But we have Carrie walking in the street, and we have her walking in the street, and it's so funny. I don't know why, but this I really feel like captures Carrie as a person. This line, she mentions in her head that the reason she was out that day was that she was trying to find a $7 dress to go with her $300 shoes.
I so feel that.
I feel that too so hard. That was
I
one of my
so
favorite lines. And
feel
I
that.
also looked it up. Her $300 shoes would be $550 today.
Yeah,
That's like,
no,
yeah,
Manolos.
Manolo.
I remember looking, maybe it was probably a couple years ago, because I wanted to get, or no, maybe it was a year ago, whenever. Because I would love to get myself a pair. Like, I think I said this on the podcast. Like, when we finish the podcast, I want to get myself a pair of Manolo Blahniks. Like, I feel like that's like my crown,
Yeah.
like, oh, we did this. Like, true fan,
Hell
I'm not
yeah.
going to be I'm running around New York City with them.
Not yet.
I feel like that's super. I still don't know how this bitch did it, because ow, like, shoes hurt,
No,
or
I've seen
your
some.
feet hurt.
I personally love paying attention to the clothing. It's one of my favorite parts. And oh my God, I don't understand. And then she'll be sprinting down the freaking street in it. And
Yeah. Obviously,
yeah.
it's an acquired skill.
And
I
it
feel like
really
you
is.
could build up to it. But we've talked about it. People do say that Manolos are very comfortable. They're like, it's a comfortable heel. It's obviously not like, you know, comfortable, but they're like, this is not the most painful shoe. Like red bottoms, super painful. They're even like structured like short. So like the arch of your foot's all fucked up. So notoriously very hard to walk in, very painful. But I've heard that Manolos specifically are actually quite easy to walk in. So
interesting.
yeah.
Well, while she's walking around looking for her $7 dress, she runs into Patrick Casey, and he's just chatting with a man on the street. And when she sees him, before she does anything, she thinks to herself how she has a choice right now. She can run away, or she can come in smiling, being brave, and walking over. I feel like in that scenario, I wouldn't run away, but I would walk by, but I don't think I would say anything.
Yeah, I
Really.
wouldn't.
I would just like let them see me, and if they say something, then the ball's in their court, you know? But that's not what she does. She literally goes over to him and taps him on the shoulder, and the first thing out of her mouth to this man is, "So what? Saturday's the day you stand on the street and smoke in the village?"
It's kind of funny though.
It's just like unprompted. There's like, how do you even respond to that? Like, yes. You know,
Yes.
and then she introduces herself to the man that he's talking to, and they both just kind of look at her and they're like, "We were in the middle of something."
Yeah, but she got rejected.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's not picking up on that. But as soon as he says we were in the middle of something, she picked up on it, and she got embarrassed, and she makes up an excuse, and she gets the fuck out of there. She's like, my bad." She was like, "I was on my way to Perry Street." He's like, "This is Perry Street." And she's like, Bleecker, I meant Bleecker," trying to cover up. And then he chases after her. She apologizes and for interrupting him, saying, "I'm so sorry, that I know that must be your lover or whatever." And he's like, "I'm not gay. I'm an alcoholic." We're in Alcoholics Anonymous. That's why I couldn't introduce you to him.
Yeah.
Because he's supposed to be anonymous.
Yeah,
So,
how hard would it have been though? He could have just been like, "Oh, this is my friend so and so."
but that's the point though. It's anonymous. He can't give her the name.
But it's not like he didn't say this is my friend from AA. He just could say this is my friend.
But that's what he tells her. He says, "I didn't introduce you because it's supposed to be anonymous." That's what he says.
Of course, but it's still anonymous if you don't know that they go to AA.
Yeah, that's true. He panicked. And also, like, she kind of came on strong and out of nowhere. He's like talking to this guy, and he turns around, sees the woman he did not call 3 days ago, and she's like, "So what? You're just hanging out here smoking a cigarette?" You know?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, lady? Yes, I guess. But you know, she admits she didn't think he was gay, but assumed that that was the reason that he didn't call. And he lets her know that I've only been in this program for 11 months, and my sponsor says that I'm not supposed to date anyone until 1 year in.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was the duration. For some reason, I thought he was like freshly sober.
No, he was actually sober for 11 months and was working on a program with an AA, trying to just become sober, and was not supposed to date anybody for a year.
That's the rule of thumb in recovery, is they say you should be sober for a year before dating. Does that always happen? No, but
it's the goal, right?
yeah.
So she says like, "Oh, so maybe you'll call me in a month." And that could have been cool, you know, like, call me in a month. Okay, cool. But he's like, "So you don't mind that I'm an alcoholic?" And she's like, "No, hell, I hope to be one someday."
If anything, that makes me more attracted to you.
You know, that's basically what she's saying. And they laugh it off. And he says, "You know, what the hell? It's only a few weeks." And he asks her out. And she accepts his offer. And internally, she's wondering, you know, aren't we all in recovery from something? Drinking, drugs, our last relationship. You know, so is it like she's basically just justifying that she's going on a date with this man that she shouldn't be going on a date with.
Yeah.
But you know. So next scene, we see Carrie and Patrick going on their dates. So the perspective that we have of these 3 dates that they go on is the point in the night where they're at Carrie's doorstep. Carrie's doorstep is a big theme in the show. She does a lot of scenes where she's like saying hello and goodbye to the men in her life on her doorstep. And we see them walking home on their first date. Her outfit is so cute in all 3 of these scenes. The first one, she has like a strapless leopard print, like tube top on with some like tight black jeans and some heels. I thought she looked great.
Love.
And while they're walking, he tells her that he has no like sense of control with certain things. He's like, if I have a bag of Chips Ahoy cookies, I have to eat the whole thing. I can't just have a little bit.
Yeah,
And
he's an addictive
yeah.
personality. Yeah.
And Carrie's like, I'm like that with shoes and Reese's Pieces. And I'm like, it's not the same thing. But okay. And so when they get to their doorstep, they start to kind of have that like, end of night, end of day, kiss me goodnight motioning. But he doesn't kiss her. And then he leaves. And she's just kind of there like, what the fuck? And so the next scene is the next date, the second date that they go on. And in this time, she leans in trying to make a face so that he'll know to kiss her. And she leans in, and then he leans in with her, but then he doesn't kiss her again, and he leaves abruptly. And she's especially like, what the fuck? And then on the third date, she literally goes so far as to like put her mouth on his chin and leaning in so hard, so close, and he still doesn't kiss her. So she begins to walk away, but then she wonders to herself, how many smart, sexy, single, smoking alcoholics are there left in this world? 5?
5?
It's like her type completely, And
Yeah.
so she turns around and she kisses him. And she asks him to come upstairs. And he's like, I've never had sex sober before.
Not once?
That's what he says. He's like
Damn.
mid-30s probably. He's never once had sex sober. And so she's like, we'll go slow. Do you feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like they're moving like way too fast for somebody who's not even supposed to be dating right now. But I don't know. For some people, third date is not crazy for that.
For sex? People have sex immediately.
I get that. What I'm getting at, though, is this is a special case scenario where he literally told her, I shouldn't even be entering a relationship for the next month.
It's a month.
And we'll see how this plays out. So after sex,
you know what's crazy? Actually, there is theory to that, because when I hit 12 months of sobriety, for some reason, I don't know if it was the milestone, I was smooth sailing the whole way. I was like, this is cake. This is great. 12 months hit, and once I was like, whoa, I went a year. And then it got hard. I was like, uh-oh. I was like, wait, I'm just supposed to keep doing this year after. I was like, for some reason, I guess my brain was like, oh, hit a year. That's it. You got it. No, I hit the year, and then I was like, oh God, I have to do this again. And that's when it got hard. So yeah, I guess there is some theory to that.
Oh yeah. But, no, totally.
Yeah.
As you know, this November will be 2 years since I've had a cigarette. And
hell yeah.
I have it's embarrassing to admit, but I have like a little promise to myself that if I make it to like 60, I can continue smoking. And
60's too young.
And that's what you say every time. But you know what? That's my number that I made with myself. So yes, I've quit smoking indefinitely, but knowing that I'm waiting to 60 years old and I can just do it however much I want to again at that point keeps me going.
Okay,
Keep the
that's fair.
cigarette out of my mouth for now.
That's fair.
I
You
gotta
can,
admit,
yeah,
though, when I
another
heard that
30
there was a
years.
comet coming to Earth, I was like, oh, maybe I can continue smoking sooner.
I thought you said there was a comet coming to Earth. I was like, there's an alien
An
comedian.
asteroid, I meant asteroid.
Yeah.
It's something that I
When
saw.
is this supposed to hit?
Like 2032.
So
Every
in
time I
like
hear about it, the percentage goes up. So
7 years.
something like that, yeah.
What's the percentage of us getting hit?
Last time I checked, it was like 2.5.
2%.
Mm-hmm.
2%. There's a 2% chance.
That's 2% more than I want. Okay.
Those odds, insane.
See,
People
that's like
hype up
different
the
levels of
funniest
anxiety
shit to
playing.
me.
Cause I'm here like, oh shit, 2%. It's reality now. And you're like, 2%, that's
It's
it.
fucking
We're
nothing.
fine.
Think of statistics. Think of the math of
Right, I'm
that.
thinking about the luck that I have in this world, and every single time where I was like, I'll be fine, and then I got hit with a shit NATO.
Asteroids are a conspiracy to keep us fucking in check. That's what it is. They're like they
Probably
want
right.
us to live in fear.
Let's get our aluminum hats on and let's continue.
I love signs.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so back to Patrick and Carrie. So they have this really like intimate sex scene, and honestly the music goes off and everything. It's like a great scene. And afterwards he can't believe how amazing sex is when you're sober. And, I've had sex sober, I've had sex, intoxicated. And so I guess I can't really tell the difference the way he can if he's never had it sober. But I can only imagine that, like, he has a lot more sensation and more,
Yeah.
like, he's able to catch more things that are happening. It's not just like,
Yeah,
when
you're
you're
definitely
drunk, it's
more
like,
you're more in the moment sober, but I feel like when you're drunk there's like this like also that what's it called? That inebriated part of you that like makes everything better. You
yeah.
know? That's why it is so like fun to do,
But if it's fun if you know what it's like the other way, but if you don't know what it's like the other way, I feel like all those little details that you missed otherwise, having that all flood in
Yeah.
one
Well,
session
what
is
I also think with
really
men too,
wild.
men, especially specifically men who have been drinking, a lot of times it's hard to maintain an erection.
That's
So
true.
what if he was never like fully as hard and aroused as he possibly could have been,
Gosh.
and then
You're trying
experience
to
that for the first time?
what did I hear somebody say the other day? It's like trying to put a cooked noodle into a keyhole.
In what context? Was that drunk sex?
When they were talking about like how somebody couldn't get it up and what that was like. I think it was
I
some
feel like
movie
we've
I was
all been
watching.
there. I
But
feel like
yeah.
we've all been there.
Yeah. And anyways,
Ugh.
no,
I'm
I know.
glad that's not a problem in my life. Jesus.
Yeah, me too. Not anymore.
Take me out to the pasture if that ever happens. This is why Viagra's a thing. So
And the pump. Okay,
old
so they
school.
finish having sex and he cannot stop gushing about how amazing it was and how amazing she was in bed. And he says, after we have a cigarette, I want to fuck again. So they have
Period.
sex all night long. And so the next day at brunch, we have the four broads and we have Carrie who is starving after her lovemaking. She's ordering like 5 plates of food and all this stuff. And they ask her, like, are you storing
You
up for
burn a shit ton of calories.
yeah. And she tells them about her night, and Charlotte makes a face, and Carrie apologizes for bragging. But then Charlotte's like, it's fine, just because I'm bad in bed doesn't mean everybody has to be like, ew. And Miranda's like, once again, you're not bad in bed. And Charlotte's like, has a man ever fallen asleep on you? And Samantha's like, no, but one time I fell asleep on the man. It was the lewds. I love her.
Of course,
And
Samantha did lewds.
and then Charlotte admits that, like, while she may be good at some things, she might need help with others. and she suggests that something that she's good at is accessories, as like compensation. She's not wearing any accessories when she says that. Just as a side note, just whatever.
She's just trying to find something.
She is. And Charlotte tells them about this tantric sex workshop that she started or she signed up for, and it's called How to Please a Man. And plot twist,
101.
she signed everybody up.
I
And
would do that.
nobody wants to go, but they're all going to go support her. So, they're being good friends, so they let her take them.
She does say this is taught by a world-renowned like psychologist.
Yeah, she does
too.
mention that too. Yeah, so it's not just like some crackpot,
Mm-hmm.
Well, that night, Samantha is with David and David. And while getting ready, she puts on this beautiful nightgown that honestly looks like it's from those like horror romance novels where the woman's running from the monster in that like see-through dress. That's honestly what Samantha looks like in this scene. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I love it.
Like, honestly, I want one. And she wonders if she's actually capable of going through with this, and she starts wondering to herself as she's getting ready. And when she opens the door, she's ready to start talking to David and just really have open communication about what's going on. And when she comes out, though, she sees these two handsome men looking at her, and seeing them look at her all horny and stuff, she just gives in. She's like, forget it. Let's just do it.
Pocket. Yeah.
Pocket, right? And so they start playing Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. I'm sure that's not a fucking coincidence.
Right.
As they begin having sex. And David on either side of Samantha, and they begin giving her kisses on her body. Not in her mouth, but just like on her body, going down from her neck, going down. And then they get, her neck, her chest. They're into it. They're like, wow, her breasts are soft. And then they get her stomach, and they keep going down. And then they get towards her vagina. And they panic. And they pull back. And they back out. They're just like, I can't. They look at each other.
Listen,
I can't.
They can be very intimidating. By sight.
One of the things I don't like about this show is that it very much plays a lot into this idea that people are either straight or gay. And we see Samantha combat that earlier in the episode, but I really feel like
have you thought, though, that since they've never been with that kind of genitalia, they were scared that they were going to be bad, and that's why they stopped?
See, what I want to know is these two men have spent their whole lives only with men.
Mm-hmm.
They get married. They love each other. They have a conversation with each other that gets brought up by a mutual desire to sleep with a woman. What the fuck did they think was going to be there?
Gnome.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, I feel like the way that they filmed this scene really makes it feel like they didn't realize she was going to have a vagina. And I think that really kind of is so out of context, because that was the point of sleeping with a woman, right?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like, at the end of the day, they were like, that's Kinsey Six gay.
Yeah. Well,
that was them that's like true confirmation of like, we are just both not sexually attracted to women. Like, you can probably appreciate the body, but then it's like,
but I don't.
Right. But then it's like, I'm out.
Yeah. No. And also, just to put it out there, even if you are already having sex, there's never a point in time where you can't back out. You're always allowed to say, you know what, this isn't for me. My bad. Let's pack it up. Let's go get some gelato. And that's what they ended up doing. I think everybody is entitled to their opinion, but I feel like this was used as a means to make Carrie's point be proven. Personally,
I can see that too.
I
Or
think
just the narrative of the show. Like
yeah.
we were talking about earlier, Samantha's like the pivot, and I feel like we never know where the writers were at the time, you know, because we do feel like there is this kind of like notion of heteronormativity in the show.
Yeah, which I feel like they really could have, done better on, but I don't know.
But we are
But
still
it was
talking
the
about
time.
2000.
It was the times that they were in.
Mama. Hi,
So
Mama.
the next
Two.
morning,
Okay.
we have Carrie and Patrick in bed, and Carrie tries multiple times to leave for the tantric sex workshop, but Patrick kind of won't let her and keeps trying to get her to stay. And he's just like, I could have sex with you morning, noon, and night every day of the week, baby. And it hits her. He's addicted to me.
Love. All I've ever wanted. I literally told my boyfriend this last night. I said, is it so hard to not, I was like, I just want 100% admiration and obsession. Is that so difficult? Of course I was saying it jokingly. Yeah, I was like, that's all. I was like, I don't ask for much around here.
I hear that. I do. I've always been cautious when it comes to love bombing. I don't like it personally. It freaks me out. And that's kind of what this feels like to me.
Oh, yeah. This is like an addict through and through.
Yeah. And I guess I don't have experience dating somebody with addiction issues, so I haven't personally been on this side of things. So I know. So that's
fucking world champion over here.
me. I don't think I could. I don't know how I would react to that. It's just you got to see how you react when you're in it.
If I had a man who said, I could have sex with you morning, noon, and night. Well, I've heard that. But, it's like, you're like, that's all I need. Because, like, and this is why I end up with addicts. Because I'm like, I got me. You just throw it down. You throw it down, and if you're obsessed with me sexually, what else do we have to worry about?
Yeah.
Life? Nah. Responsibilities? Fuck you. But no, I mean, no. How do you not love hearing that?
Yeah.
I want to be told that every morning.
If only. Sorry. Okay. So next scene, we have the tantric workshop and the tantric sex workshop. And we see the four broads sitting in a living room receiving a class from a woman, the psychologist that they mentioned. And oh my God, these women are like teenagers. They keep talking while the speaker's talking, and it's annoying as shit. Carrie's literally telling Samantha and Miranda about what happened with Patrick. And Samantha snaps at her. She's like, at least they want to fuck you. And Carrie's just like, they were gay. That's why they didn't want to fuck you. And Samantha just can't understand. She's like, they were interested one moment and not the next. And Miranda's like, the thing that you did wrong was not having a penis. And Charlotte's like, shut the fuck up, basically.
Yeah.
The psychologist is literally speaking to them. All of these women are in this woman's living room, so it's not like they're like in an auditorium in the back. It's so rude and so ugly and so I don't like it. But anyways, the woman tells them that she's going to teach them how to make their man always be faithful and bring him to his knees with love, of course. And the ladies just keep chit-chatting in the back, and Charlotte's like just like trying to get them to be quiet. She's like, this is embarrassing. I would be mortified,
I would be too. I'm like, shut your fucking mouth. Like,
no,
be respectful.
Like,
are you like, grow up?
And so we whatever. And Charlotte's like, this woman is supposed to be a genius. You need to stop. And Miranda's like, if she's so good, why is she doing this class in her apartment?
Because I feel like legally there's a lot of loopholes there. We're about to find out why.
So the speaker's husband comes out from the other room in a robe and then stands in front of everybody and disrobes to be fully naked underneath. And they're going to watch this woman give her husband a lingam massage.
You know what? I didn't look up if that was real.
And they pan forward an hour and a half, and you see none of the women are talking anymore. They're all like staring.
An hour and a half?
That's what they said. An hour and a half later. So
an hour and a half hand job?
Yeah.
Put me out, coach.
And so Miranda, or they say that it's like they all start watching, they're hooked on it. It's like watching a car crash, you just can't like stop.
Yeah.
And Miranda goes back to making jokes. Carrie won't stop laughing, but Samantha and Charlotte are not participating. They're paying close attention to what that woman is doing to her husband. And the speaker mentions, or the psychologist, she mentions that while an orgasm is not the goal, it is a side effect. So I think that's kind of part of why it took an hour and a half, because this is not, you're not just like jerking him off.
You're what?
Massaging him.
Here's the thing too, and I talked about this on another podcast. Like when it comes to coming, like for me, that's not my goal either. I always say I'm stingy, and it's not because I'm stingy with the orgasm. I just like the idea of being pleasured for a long period of time. Like that is like, it's a great feeling. Yeah. That feels fantastic. I want to keep going. Yeah. Why do I want this to end? And I get that. And I just looked up what it is. So it's a hand massage, but you like start with the lower body. So it's like all the muscles like surrounding like the abdomen, like everything. And then you like, of course, like hit the genitalia and you go bottom up. Cool. And hell yeah. So obviously, that took an hour and a half. Right. And so I can see that. Like it's not just about the orgasm, it's about the pleasure, it's about the intent. Yeah, I feel that, because like sex isn't like, I don't know, like for me, the goal isn't the orgasm, it's the pleasure and intimacy during the time.
Hell yeah. No, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And they're watching, they watch her do it. And then she starts to pick up speed, and you see the man, like his breathing starts quickening, and he comes. But when he comes, like it shoots out, like he came.
No shit.
The cum hit Miranda in her face and hair.
It's not the worst thing.
I gotta tell you, if I got peer pressured to go take a class and a man's semen ended up in my hair, I would be disturbed, probably.
I'd have a comedy career for the rest of my life if that happened to me.
Definitely would. I would have a never-ending psychology bill.
I embrace this shit because it happens far too much also.
You also work in the medical field. I feel like you're more comfortable with other people's body fluids than I am.
Speaking of medical field, I just got offered $300 to go into work.
Damn, they're desperate, huh? Yeah. Everybody laughs at Miranda with the cum on her hair and her face, and she doesn't even know what happened. She's just like, what?
Wait, hold on. This is where I get confused. There is no way she didn't feel that.
The one in her hair, I could totally see her not feeling.
It was on her face.
But it was on her face too. And that's
where There's no way you don't feel. There's no way you don't feel that. Cum isn't water. It's like, it's not like, it's thick.
Yeah.
What someone described cum to me. They said ropes of cum. I was like, oh. I was like,
girl, I wasn't ready.
And I was like, I heard that, and I was like, ropes? I was like,
my God. I heard it one
Rounds.
time. They talked about it. It was like about jerking off, and they called it sneezing in your hand.
What? Oh, like
Yeah,
coming?
yeah, coming in your hand. Like,
Sneezing in
yeah,
your hand.
compared it
That's
to like
funny.
snot. I was just like, huh.
What did I learn the other
Um,
day? What was that terminology that I didn't know what that meant? Oh, it was like for heterosexual sex. I was like, I've never heard that term before. Fuck, now I can't remember.
damn
But it
it.
was so funny to me. Fuck,
Oh
whatever.
my gosh, yeah. Oh my god, and one time in high school, this boy was like, he was like, "Do you know what candy caning is?" And I was like,
Candy
"No."
caning.
And he was like, "When you come inside of a girl who's on her period."
Period. Literally.
There, there are so many jokes that have to do with semen. It's crazy. But yeah,
It's so
no,
fun.
all over in the most unfortunate way.
There's no way she didn't feel that shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyways, next scene, we have Carrie and Patrick walking home, and Patrick is telling Carrie how he talked to his sponsor about her, which is nice, and felt like it was time to tell her how he felt. Yeah, okay. And he's like, I love you. And she
Period.
internally, was like, there it is. The little phrase every girl is dying to hear a week and a half in.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Oh my god, no.
My
It's
limit now,
dude.
my limit used to be like a month. I was like, if you don't tell me this within a month, there's no reason for me to be here. I am the greatest thing that'll ever happen to you. And if you don't recognize that, bye. Out the door.
God.
However, things have changed. And now my limit is 6 months. If you
Okay.
don't say I love you within 6 months, there's no point. You have to mean it.
Yeah, I guess it always depends on the people. And I feel like it also, like, kind of is determined by how long you knew each other before.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Like, my husband and I knew each other for years before we ever dated. And, he said, I love you in 2 weeks.
Period.
Um,
Go off, King.
But we knew each other for years, dated for a long time, and then
Yeah.
became a couple. And then he said, I love you in 2 weeks. Granted, he said it by accident, and I could tell because he looked like he had just shit himself right after he said it.
The longest time I've ever, like, it's been said in a relationship, in my experience, is 9 months.
Okay.
And I feel like that's far too long. But it was what was needed in the relationship.
With, like, a timeline that I'd be comfortable with, but I'm not as willing to, But he tells her how he feels, and I've done this before too. She says, "Oh wow, thanks."
Wait, what?
When he says I love you, she says, "Oh wow, thanks." And I was like, I feel weird because I've done that.
I have a wonderful story about this. I think I was like 18. I was 18 and I was with someone that, like, I was into, but it wasn't like chemicals, like fireworks,
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's cool. We worked together. I was like, great. We had cool chemistry. We hung out. We dated, whatever. I think it was around 2 weeks or something like that. And we were laying in my bed and he said, I love you. That was one of my first, like, notable panic attacks. I started to feel sick. I was like, I think I didn't know at the time it's because I was panicking because that's what he said. I just started having a panic attack. And back then, well, still, I'm still kind of like this. When I panic, I want to be left alone because I get, well, yes and no, but I get, like, scared and I'm like, oh my God, I need to, like, get my shit. But I was like, I literally said, I don't feel well. And I was like, I think you should go. I think I'm getting sick. And because I was like, my stomach hurt, and you know me, like, I don't like throwing up.
I'm just like
around people.
empathizing with him real quick, like imagining how I would feel if somebody started acting like that when I said I love you.
He wasn't a bad guy. It just was not it for me. And then
Yeah.
I vividly remember like walking him downstairs and then like shutting the door in his face. We were not together very long after that.
No, I don't think so, huh?
And then I
Mm-mm.
started dating the addict.
Woo!
Who told me, I'm pretty sure we were like a month or less in, and he told me, and I was like seeing fucking colors. That I was like,
Mhm.
yes, you do, and I do too, bitch.
Hey, yeah, I guess there is no time limit when you feel the same way.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
You both got to be on board, you know.
yeah. Because when my husband said it, I started like he looked like he shit himself, but I was there jumping around like a fool, like being like, ah!
You know what's
And
really
I
funny
was just
about that?
like, I was thinking it, but you said it.
You said it.
Yeah.
That guy I had never heard or seen from again, like for years, and I think this was about, God, it must have been like 3 or 4 years ago, back when I was living in my old place. I used to go to spin class. One day I decide to go back to spin class, right? It's been years since I went, and that guy was there next to me
Mhm.
in the class. I was like, in the row behind, and I was like, that's him. And the one thing I noticed, he had a ring on his finger. I was like, you're telling me the I love you guy got married before me?
I
Blasphemy.
guess his light was on.
Blasphemy. His light was on when he met me. I just said no.
So he went to the next one. Ah, let me
No,
see. Where are we
I
at?
wish that guy all the best, but it was just that was a scenario, okay?
Oof,
That was a
that was the
scenario.
universe being like, "Hey, remember this guy?"
I still get shudders sometimes. You know, we were
Yeah,
talking about sex flashbacks where I'm like, ugh, that was one of them.
yeah. Where you have to stop what you're
Rip.
doing to like remember how to breathe because you're like, oh,
I just
um,
get nauseous.
yeah. I just get this like,
Need some
uh,
Zofran.
yeah. Like somebody give me like the flash from Men in Black on that, please. You know? Sorry, I just watched that the other night. It was so good. If you haven't watched Men in Black in a
Love
while,
that
watch it again.
movie.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh,
Um, but back to Sex in the City.
I feel like I look like the worms from that movie.
Shut your fucking beautiful mouth and let's continue. So he says
Twister.
he's confused as to why she's not saying it back. He's like, I said I love you. Are you gonna say I love you back? Have you ever had somebody
No.
say that to you? It is the most awkward thing in the entire universe. Oh
No,
my
that guy
god.
didn't say it, but I felt it. I felt
Ugh.
it as I was shutting the door in his face. I was living with my dad at the time, and my dad was like, "What the fuck happened?"
Ah!
And I told him, and he was like, I think my dad's exact words were "poor bastard."
I get it. You know, you put yourself out there and but it's just everybody has to learn how to deal with unrequited love. We all have to have that lesson at some point.
I'm gonna get
Unfortunately,
karma for that, aren't I?
we shall see. But Carrie tells this guy, "You don't love me. You love not drinking with me."
Mm-hmm.
That's so like I don't know. I felt like that was ugly.
So mature this episode though, when she's like, "Oh, this isn't healthy. I shouldn't be doing this."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Okay, so when
that's
it's
like
someone else's
yeah,
healthiness, now you're invested, but you can do your
yeah.
own," which makes sense though, right? It's always easier to deal with someone else's problems, not
Oh
your
yeah.
own.
But she, upon all of this, she tells him officially, "I want to slow down with you." But he doubles down and he keeps telling her, "I love you though." And she does not invite him upstairs anymore. And he gets upset about this, because, when you're like, when you have that moment of like, you put yourself out there and they don't reciprocate.
Rejection. It's
Yeah,
rejection.
it's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's painful.
I have
And
severe rejection sensitivity, and
yeah.
apparently ADHD
And
increases that. And
when
I
you
have trauma on top of that. Being rejected is like truthfully one of my like big heaviest things I deal with. I get
yeah,
it. It's awful. It's something I wake up fearing like every day.
no, for real. And
It's
he
awful.
doesn't know what to do with himself that night anymore. And she's like, she suggests for him to go to his support group and she'll see him next week.
He's like, well, what do I do now? She said, you should probably go to a meeting. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, me in 2022,
Oh my God, seriously. Which
me
is like
dealing with my
sound
ex.
advice, but like, oh my God, it's that's gotta hurt to hear right after you tell somebody you love them, you know.
Yeah.
Ugh. So next scene, we have a conclusion with Charlotte and Bram, and Charlotte's
Love
giving
that
him
name.
his lingam massage, and it does not look like he's ever gonna fall asleep on her again. He's like pretty much levitating off the bed.
You know what I'm sad about? What happened to Bram?
Me too. I really liked Bram. I feel like even
Spoiler
though
alert, we never see him again.
yeah, I feel like even though he had this issue, even the way he handled it, he was very sweet with her at the very least. He tried to like, provide an
Well, he was
explanation.
just being real. He was like, hey, guess what? I was like in surgery or something.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm fucking tired. Like, it has nothing to do with you.
yeah. And she considers it the best $50 she ever spent. And what I really like about this specifically is that it's really nice to see Charlotte develop a sexual skill that does not have to compromise what she's comfortable with. Because
Yeah.
if you remember in the episode with Butterscotch, the
She
dog,
don't she
she
don't do
doesn't do
blowjobs.
blowjobs. That's just outside of her comfort zone personally, and that's okay. But now she has a surefire way to achieve the same result without having to do anything she's uncomfortable with, which I love. And then next scene, we see Miranda enjoying her new bed, but she's sitting next to a pile of tissues because every time she stops to think about it, she grabs another tissue and re-wipes off the parts of her face that had cum on them. She keeps cleaning them off.
They should have made her like develop like terrible like OCD. They should have like made her
Yeah.
such a psych case after this. It would have been
Oh
so
my gosh.
funny.
Well, they say like right afterwards, after we finished talking Miranda down from the ledge.
Down from the
I was
ledge.
like, oh.
Yeah, because publicly, like, yeah, it's probably very I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be embarrassed. I feel like I'd be flattered. It's like, oh, it hit me.
Bella, you've said a lot of things in your life.
I really
like
have.
11 years that we've known each other, but that one takes some cake.
It's been longer. We've
11?
known each other way longer.
Oh, yeah, what am I thinking? 15.
Yeah. 15. We're on year 15 in September, remember?
Yeah, no, I was thinking
Just
about
talking.
our graduation.
Like graduate?
date.
Oh, like when we graduated? No.
Yeah.
No, we are on year 15 this year, bitches.
I'm mixing up timelines. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's like when I forget how old I am. Someone was like, I was like 26. I was like 28, 29. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
See, I forget.
Stop there.
I'm 27. I'm 28. See? Chingo. I'm turning 29 this year. That's all I know. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was so bad about that statement? I'd be flattered.
Wait, what?
I was like, what's wrong with that statement? I would have been flattered. I would have taken a picture and posted that immediately on my Instagram. I would have been like, LOL. I would have got. Do you know how viral that would that TikTok would be?
This was before TikTok. It was just bad.
If it happened now. Mama's opinion.
I was like, that's her 2 cents.
That's her 2 cents.
I couldn't do it. I'm just not comfortable with body
It's
fluids.
a little bit of cum.
Like
it's just a little. Oh, it's because I'm a nurse.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm just not comfortable with other people's body fluids like that.
I just recently.
I had somebody sneeze near me the other day, and I wanted to punch them. That was my natural reaction.
I picked up a urine specimen cup, and typically they're they're not always like clean, but I'm like usually really good. I'm like trying to put the lid on correctly. It didn't seem like it was like saturated on the sides of any sort, but I picked it up and it just dripped on my leg. And I was like,
See, even
I was
that
like,
I feel like is better for me.
that's better.
It's
Urine is
no,
way
for me,
grosser.
okay, I know this is like it doesn't make sense. I get it. I'm not saying it does, but for me, it's when I can feel the person's body heat in the fluid. That's what sends me over the edge. That's
Urine
the
is
part.
hot.
That's the part that I like lose it. Oh, I
Yeah,
thought
urine is
okay, it's fresh specimen. Okay.
fresh pee.
Honestly, you know what? All of it's gross.
Fresh pee.
So, anyways,
Right on my leg.
that night, Carrie's in bed and she starts hearing her name from outside the window. Carrie! Carrie! And he starts yelling from on the street to her. And
Dude, how
I feel
romantic.
like this scene was definitely painted as a comedic scene, given the music that they use, the commentary that they have. I find this scene so heart-wrenchingly sad. Like
For him.
for him, because of the way that
Yeah.
he what he's saying to her. He says, you know, I loved you, but you didn't love me back. You
Yeah.
fucking made me date you before the month, and look, now I'm drunk. And he starts.
Yeah, but it's his responsibility.
No, I get that. I get that. And he starts begging her to have sex with him again on the street and starts taking his clothes off on the street. So she thinks about going down there real quick, but then she's like, I can't do that. That would be codependence. I can't go rescue him from himself.
Bitch.
And I'm like, this fucking bitch coming from this bitch. Oh my God. Okay, that is all.
The codependency queen herself.
Yeah, but it doesn't work the other way. It only works when she's the codependent one. So she throws her robe down, and I was so sad when I saw that because, you know, for those people,
it's an iconic robe.
It's an iconic robe. It's
so pretty.
the robe that she wore to when they unveiled the painting of Charlotte's pussy.
Wait, doesn't it come back in just like that?
It does. Yeah, they bring it back.
So she does. So she picks it back up. Yeah. I just remembered. Thank God.
And okay. He starts crying in the street and saying that he hopes that he dies in the cold. Fucking drama queen.
First of all, how annoying. I was just recently talking about this, how suicide has been constantly weaponized for... I'm going to say suicide. I don't care. Like
no,
that.
Yeah, you say whatever you want. I was just saying that.
I'm a psych nurse. That's all I do, you know, but I have patients who literally threaten it and they didn't mean it. And then they got arrested because of their statements. And when you make big statements like that you're trying to weaponize it against your partner to make them feel bad, to make them react a certain way, to manipulate them.
It can happen to friends. I once had a friend do that to me. Mm-hmm. And he got angry at me for calling EMS for him. Knowing that I was across town is when he called me. And he got angry because he didn't mean it. It was just for show. Right. To get a reaction out of me. And it's just so traumatizing, and they know that.
Mm-hmm. That guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't think it's okay to... Anyways,
never.
It goes inside.
It happened with my ex, too. I remember do you remember that time where he was like, oh, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to... You were going to leave. If you leave, I was
just... to come to my house that night, yeah.
Yes. I was supposed to go hang out with you, and he didn't like that. And he goes, oh, well, my plans for the evening were to buy a gun and kill myself. And I was like... Yeah. So I can't go to Christina's.
Yeah, basically.
That's what you're telling me. I have to cancel my plans.
We're not allowed to go to my house and play video games, I guess.
Yeah. So but it happens it happens so frequently, and I hate to see it happen like that because it is a very real thing that people struggle with. Like if you're truly having like suicidal ideations, it's nothing to play around with. Yeah. These are people's lives at stake. And to use it to manipulate other people is terrible. How if you do it though, it happens, but I've had patients that do that. They're like, I was in a fight, I said this, cops got called, they threw my ass here. And I'm like, I was like, this is a very,
It's
I'm
a
like,
serious thing.
this is a very serious accusation. I
It
was like,
is.
you know, and
It's terrible.
yeah,
And that's
this
what
is
he.
very pro-life.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this is a pro-life concept essentially.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
3 weeks later, Carrie gets a letter in the mail from Patrick saying that he was back in the program and he wanted to make amends with her.
It's part of
And
AA. If you guys didn't know, it's one of the steps.
you know,
So you know what
and
you know what he's doing is he's had now after relapsing, he's having to redo the steps.
he has
Is
to
it
start from the
AA?
beginning, right?
Yeah, AA is typically a 12-step program. So since you start from the beginning.
Damn.
Yeah,
But
relapsing is like, as someone who's struggled with it before, like I've like asked questions with other people who are sober, and I'm like, well, I was like, okay, I relapsed once, you know, and it was so quick. I'm like, can I keep counting from where I was? They're like, they're like, hell no, bitch.
let's
They're
start
like,
at the
you're
beginning.
on day one again. I'm like, it's like shit
Yeah,
like that, you know, and it's hard. This is a
it
very,
is hard.
I know that they really shed a comedic light on his
Yeah,
character, but
this is really
addiction is
sad.
not, yeah, addiction isn't funny. I mean, it can be, but right, it's not sometimes, and this is a very real thing that addicts go through, and the spouses or partners of addicts go through too.
Yeah, and the
So,
children.
and children and family and everyone in
Family,
their
friends,
something
yeah.
I'm very well versed in. You know, the greater part of my 20s was me being with an loving deeply a person struggling with addiction, and it changed everything.
Yeah.
Like my entire life, like my entire outlook, it's set me on a different path, which I'm not regretful for, but it's definitely shown me a lot of things. I learned a lot of things about myself and everything in the process. So
Hell
it's a very real heavy thing.
It really
So
is, and it's so complex.
yeah,
And
there's no two are the same.
no, but she says that she never saw him again. So my assumption from that is she didn't respond to his letter, which poor dude, you know.
Yeah.
But she ends this episode wondering two things. She wonders, was he really able to stay sober? And am I really that good in bed?
That's something I think of all the time. Like, yeah, no, I
Which
feel
part?
that.
Both?
Both. Both. But
But
yeah,
yeah, she somehow finds a way to make his relapse completely about her
about
and her
her.
sexuality. And
Go off,
no,
queen.
I don't think that this means that she's good at sex. I think that this just means that this addictive personality man accidentally got
Because
addicted to this woman.
she also never says like, oh, this was the greatest sex of my
She
life,
never
you
said
know?
that, yeah. So it is inconclusive as to what actually does make
Happened with
somebody,
Patrick.
yeah, what happened to him. And I guess as for whether or not you're good in bed, are you having fun? Do they seem like,
Yeah.
are they having fun? Then I think that's a success. You know, I think the best kind of
Yeah.
sex personally is when you can laugh during sex.
That is huge. I
Yeah.
like that. I am such a big person to say, if you can laugh with the person during sex, you're on a good path. If you're
Yes.
not, it's probably not looking
Do
so
some
great for you
reflection.
guys.
Yeah.
You got to do some reflection there,
'Cause
because
if
the
it,
greatest
mm,
moments I've had, or like where I felt like I could be completely vulnerable sexually with a person, is I was able to laugh with them and vice versa, you know,
exactly.
in the moment.
Exactly. Well,
Just recently, the other day, my eyelashes started to fall off and my boyfriend picked them off for me because they get all fucking wonky sometimes. Obviously, actions are at play, movements are being done. And he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And I was like, I look like Cynthia. Like, how rude.
Rugrats?
Yes. That's what my eyelashes look like. Fucking
Oh my
Cynthia's
God.
bald ass head.
Leave
If I
Cynthia
don't have
out of this.
eyelashes, I look bald because my eyelashes are blonde and short. That's why I always have fucking lashes on. Hello. I dye all of my features because they're blonde and you can't see them. So yeah, my lashes just went and the struggle is real. I miss
is
having
real.
lash extensions that were professionally done.
Soon.
But yeah,
But
that was a hoot.
that was a hoot. So on that note, please let us know if you know what makes somebody good or bad in bed.
Yeah,
We want to know.
I'm curious.
We want to know what your defining feature of somebody being good in bed is. I think it just literally boils down to confidence. But
Yeah,
that's
I
just
guess so. I hear a lot of men say like, "Oh, if a woman just lays there," and you like hear that, right? Or like vice versa with women, like jackhammer, like jackrabbit, you
Yeah.
know. So it's
Yeah.
like that's always not a good thing to go off of if that's what you feel like it's going on.
Yeah.
It's probably
Maybe not, right?
maybe not the best to be with that person,
Yeah. But, as long as
or
you're
they need to
happy.
take a class themselves. So
Yeah, get them a lingam massage class going,
I wonder if there's actual classes like that,
Oh, I bet. Oh, I
like in
bet.
the basement of people's houses.
I
Can we
feel
find
like
one?
I bet you there's something like that in Austin.
We
There
have to
has
go
to
on
be.
Craigslist.
You know what? We'll do some research on this and
I
report
feel
back
like
to you
that's just
guys.
like a segue. Like that's just a front for like prostitution.
You
We'll
know,
find out. We'll do
there was
some
a
research for the podcast.
there was a massage location near where we grew up that ended up being a front like that.
Well,
Do you
no
remember
shit. That
that?
happens so much.
Yeah.
That happens. There's a lot in San Antonio. Rub and
Yeah.
tugs. That's
Yeah.
what they're called.
Yeah. But anyways, next 2 weeks, sorry. The week after next time we
Yeah.
see you guys,
Oh yeah, we'll be
we
doing 2
have
weeks.
a big episode coming in. For those of you who have not watched the series, this episode that we're doing next is a crucial turning point of the series.
Yes.
We meet a particular character that is reoccurring and is very pivotal in the series. So definitely
Mhm.
stay tuned for that.
Yeah. It is
Definitely.
about this
And
is where the show picks up. I just recently talked to someone who just watched the show for the first time. They completed the series and they're like, oh, it was good, but like it really like the plot thickened. I was like
yeah,
after season 2 at the end, they're like, yeah, and I was like, that's when it kind of really picks up, and
yeah,
thickens. So
and
yeah, strap in,
oh,
bitches.
and we have a character who returns as well.
Right. So
Pretty big character coming back, so
mm,
stay tuned for that.
no pun intended.
No spoilers here.
No spoilers
Um,
here.
But if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Next episode is called 20-something girls versus 30-something women.
This
And
is such a cool time to do this episode since
yeah,
we're right there.
right in between. In fact, you're turning 29 this year. I'm turning 30 this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I'm
here we
so
go.
excited.
I know.
I'm so excited.
Ugh.
I'm just excited to turn 30, but I am also very upset. Like, not upset, but I'm just like, oh, I thought I would have been married with kids by now. It feels very strange.
I
Right?
thought
Because
I would
I
live in
think I
another
told
country by
you
now.
I told you last year said something like I always like came to terms with like, okay, I guess I'm in that point in my life where I feel like I'm going to have kids in my 30s, and I came to terms with that. What I did not come to terms with was being a 30-year-old bride. I was like, no, shame to my family. Like I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe. And I know there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. I just envisioned something differently for myself. But I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like if it does happen, like I'm not going to be in my 20s.
No, that's totally valid.
The night is still young though. I still
Yeah.
have it. I have a year. I have a year.
Yeah.
I have a year. All right,
Yeah.
Jacob. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, he better know to ask my permission first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
So yeah, stay tuned for the most pivotal moment. Well, not the most, but one of the most pivotal moments in the entire series. It's gonna get
Hell
good.
yeah.
It's gonna get really good, and we're excited to
Get
bring that.
juicy.
Yeah, and then the next episode will be the finale, which we plan on doing live again. So, yeah, and we still have some more stuff headed your way that we will get to at a later date. But for right now, thank you guys always for listening, for supporting. For we're now back. Thank God. We need to get some momentum.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's hard to bring it back, but thank you guys for being so supportive. Now that we are back. But yeah, so always, we love you guys so much, and we will see you guys within the next 2 weeks. So, bye, guys.